days around.
Hello and welcome to the Tottenham America channel. Today we will be rating every player's performance from Tottenham Hotspur's dismal 2-0 loss to Manchester United away from home at Old Trafford. Before we begin, make sure you smash the subscribe button, hit the like button if you enjoy our content, comment down below who your man of the match is and what your thoughts on the game were. And without further ado, let's start with goalkeeper and captain Hugo Lloris.
Lloris was definitely man of the match today. I'm going to rate him an 8.
I'm going to give him an 8 as well. It could have easily been 7 or 8-0 if it wasn't for us. If it wasn't for Hugo Lloris.
Manchester United had like 25 shots, and Lloris did well to cope with the... I think they had probably at least almost 50... maybe probably 30% on target. With those shots, he did really well, and he had some superb saves today.
Definitely. Really good one-handed saves, especially against Marcus Rashford, who I think it was most vital against. But even, for the goals, what could he have done? Nothing.
First goal, deflection. Can't do that. He got wrong-footed.
Yeah.
Can't do anything about it. Second goal, well, really nothing at all.
It's just a really good finish from Bruno Fernandes.
It's placed right in the top corner.
Yeah. Let's continue now into our defense, starting with Cristian Romero.
Cristian Romero, I'm going to rate him as 6.
I'm going to give him a 5.5. Not as aggressive, definitely, today.
Not as aggressive as he was, but I think...
Still our best defender.
Yeah, best defender out of a bad bunch of defenders, in my opinion. But
honestly,
Romero was our best, but he still was not himself today.
Honestly, our defense wasn't as bad as the rest of our team. I think our defense was probably our best part, unfortunately, of our team. It was better than our midfield, and it was definitely better than our attack. We at least held out all of their first half attacks. There were points where we were a little slow. Dier made some mistakes at times, but I think specifically Romero was relatively okay. Nowhere near his usual self. Like there was none of that usual jumping out and defending that we see all the time until really like the last 5-10 minutes of the game, which is where he just wanted to get forward because why not? But other than that, we saw nothing of his usual self against Manchester United today. Let's continue on to our center back now in Eric Dier. What would you rate Eric Dier?
I'm going to rate Eric Dier a 5.5.
I'd give him a 5. Probably our worst defender today. Made way too many mistakes at the back. But in the overall sense, the amount of attacks Manchester United put at us, overall, he was good. But it was just those few attacks where he completely lost his mind, especially for that first attack. The first goal that we conceded, Antony steals it off of an easy header for Dier. Dier's getting the ball, I think, off of a long pass clearance from a Manchester United defender. All he has to do is head it somewhat forward so that one of our forwards can get on it. But instead, he heads it a little bit too far up. Antony gets on the ball really quickly, races forward, finds Sancho, finds Fred, and puts it into the back of the net. So, not the greatest performance from Dier.
He just tried to back pass it with his head to, I believe it was Bentancur, and it just went all wrong. Too soft, didn't get to Bentancur. Mm-hmm. And Antony just picked it up, and Manchester United counterattacked.
Yeah.
That was a very crucial mistake, and that's what cost us a lot. That was one single mistake from Dier.
Yeah. And it was just not good enough today. Let's continue with our next defender, Ben Davies, who came on for Clément Lenglet at that left center-back side. I'm going to give Davies a 5 as well. Davies was just not good enough. What did you give him?
Davies, I'm going to give him a 5. Or not 5, 5.75. Davies was not as good as Romero, but still not as poor as Dier.
Yeah. Davies just looked... You can see the difference in quality between Lenglet and Davies, and that was evident today. The way Davies defended and the way Davies passes versus... And even the way Davies moves around the pitch versus the way Lenglet moves around the pitch. It's a completely different story with the two of them. And I think Lenglet has to start our Big Six matches from here on. Davies, I think, just isn't good enough. for the way we play.
Longley is now getting himself into our starting lineup, which makes him a crucial player for us. Which means we almost have to buy him.
Yeah.
Or find someone else different, but we have to buy Longley.
Yeah. Let's continue into our wingbacks, starting with right wingback Matt Doherty. I'm going to give Doherty a 5.
I'm going to rate Matt Doherty a 6.25.
Matt Doherty, nowhere near as good as his performances against Brighton and Everton.
Honestly, I have to say, Matt Doherty was one of the best. I'm going to say he was the best outfield player today.
I don't think I'd put it. We didn't have a best outfield player today.
We didn't have a best, but I feel like he was the best out of a bad bunch.
You like when those players were so bad today. I think for me, I couldn't even tell if there was a good.
It's a terrible performance from Doherty.
Yeah,
like nowhere near his normal level, nowhere near his normal self. It's just in the first half, those counterattacks, he did well. He tried to get something done.
He definitely had our best chance of the first half, trying to curl it around De Gea with his left foot after receiving a beautiful long ball from Kane, but just could not get that wrap around to De Gea. Second half, he completely fell apart. He was getting exposed completely by the wingers on that side, and I believe he was eventually taken off and replaced by Ryan Sessegnon in the 82nd minute. Way too late, because he looked absolutely gassed before that. He was completely out of energy by 70 minutes in almost. Not able to keep up with any of United's wingers. Let's continue into our left wing back, Ivan Perisic.
I'm going to rate Perisic a 6.
I'm going to give Perisic a 5. Tried to make things happen at times, but honestly, he could have been so much better today. He was outdone too many times by Antony.
Again, pretty much the same as Doherty. He tried to get things done, tried to get attacking, tried to play in crosses, tried to get shots off, but nothing worked. And especially on the defensive side, that's where Doherty and Perisic both fell off.
Yeah. Perisic, we know, is not a defender, but really he was completely taken to the streets by Antony, completely ripped apart. Doherty dealt with Sancho well in the first half, but in the second half he completely fell apart as well. And basically we were just exposed with two wingers racing down. I think also we had too much of a congestion in midfield because we played three midfielders, which meant that like Doherty and Perisic, they were either stuck forward or stuck back. So where we needed them, they were not there.
Yeah, we need them to defend, but how can they defend if they're so far up?
Yeah.
How do they get back? They have attacking duties and they have defensive duties. But with three in midfield, we're just going all down the center. We don't use them at all. And then they're up there getting marked, right? We lose the ball in midfield because we're too congested in midfield.
Yeah.
Man United get the ball back. Perisic and Doherty are still stuck up there trying to make their way back, and Man United's wingers are already there ready to pounce on us.
I think the problem is with a 3-5-2, you're already so wide in midfield that when you add wide wingers on top of that, wing backs, United are set up defensively for that. What would have been a better approach was to go 3-4-3, go kind of focus all the strength down the middle so that you have Perisic and Doherty holding the shape so that when they go forward, they've just got open space ahead of them. Kane, Højbjerg, Dier, they can find them on those wings. But because we played such a wide midfield and a congested one, United knew exactly how to stop anything we did in that midfield area. Let's continue now into our midfield three, starting with, we will start with Bentancur.
I'm going to rate Bentancur a 6.
I'm going to rate Bentancur a 5.5. I think he was definitely the best of our midfielders.
Best of our midfielders.
Least bad this midfielder today. He did try and make things happen, especially in the first half. And then when we switched to a 3-4-3 was when he really shined. That's when he was able to slide those through passes through because he didn't have another man in midfield. It was just him and Højbjerg in midfield, which meant, there was all the space for him to go forward, all the space for him to pass into. And it was so evident that 3-4-3 is the way he wants to play.
It's so clear that that's better for the whole team.
Yeah.
Because it's like Bissouma gets in Højbjerg and Bentancur's way. Gets in way of their plans. They work so well together. And there's just, without Bissouma, it's less congested in midfield. And there's just more space for Bentancur and Højbjerg to dribble into. And it also, it attracts less attention to the midfield.
Yeah. I think also 3-5-2 should only be used when we need it and when we are playing a lower tier team, because playing a higher tier team with the 3-5-2, which is not our normal tactic, there's no possibility of us getting anywhere, really.
There's no point for us to start a game out with a 3-5-2.
Yeah.
If anything, we're up like 3 goals and we need to hold out the result and defend. That's a good scenario to do, and against a lower tier team.
Yeah. Let's continue to our next midfielder, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. What are you going to rate Højbjerg?
I'm going to rate Højbjerg a 5.75.
I'm going to rate him a 5. Not as good as Bentancur today. Way too many back passes. I feel like there were so many more opportunities where he should have gone forward, but he went back. And I think this is another consequence of using a 3-5-2, is that you've got all your people in midfield. The wingbacks aren't going as far, so you've got 2 people to aim for ahead of you. And one of them is Harry Kane, who we know does not make... He's not the fastest of all players. So really, the only player you can aim for when you're playing a team like Manchester United is Son.
And there's no one to help Son.
Yeah.
When he gets the ball, what is he going to do? Just back pass. That's all he can do.
Yeah.
There's no one up there with him. Only 2 forwards. And our wingbacks get up, but they're totally marked. What's going to happen now? Man United get the ball back. They pounce. Where are our wingbacks? They're still up. And we're completely exposed defensively.
Yeah. Continuing on to our next midfielder, Bissouma, who made the midfield changed the midfield from a midfield 2 to a midfield 3. I'm going to rate Bissouma a 4.5.
I'm rating Bissouma a 4.75.
I thought Bissouma was really, to be honest, just terrible. And I think that was a combination of his performance and the position that he played. He just made 5-yard passes today, and then when we attacked, he defended. And when we defended, he acted like an attacking midfielder. He was never there where we needed him. He was always just an extra congestion in midfield, I felt, almost.
It's very hard to rate players in this game because it's almost like Bissouma almost did nothing wrong today. It was each individual player did not much wrong. It was the whole team as a whole, the midfield as a whole, that did things wrong. It was the formation that we were playing. And you can't just say Bissouma did not cause all the problems. It was our whole midfield, and it was them together.
But I thought Bissouma was the worst midfielder.
Bissouma was definitely the worst midfielder, and he just didn't get things done.
Yeah, not the way that Højbjerg and Bentancur can do things when they're together by themselves. Let's continue into our attack, starting with Son Heung-min. I'm going to rate him a 4.5.
I'm going to rate Son a 5.5.
I thought Son should have gotten, when he had the ball, which was like about 3 times per half, he did not do what I thought he could do with it. Firstly, he didn't see the ball enough, so that
I don't know if he even got the ball once in the final third in the first half. I don't think he even got the ball once. So he just didn't see the ball at all today. Second half, again, he saw a good amount more of the ball, and I feel like he did try to do something, but again, he kept losing out on the ball or backpassing. That was the result.
Backpassing was the biggest problem today. We had no support on our wing sides, so we just backpassed. And every pass, we got into the forward place. Oh, there's no space. Let's backpass. And that killed our momentum, and United just got the ability to bring everyone back and then have like Rashford and Antony at the front just to ready with their engines on.
Again, that's because of our formation, because we have those 3 basically defensive midfielders. Kane and Son, they're by themselves, and they're both on opposite sides. They can't get to each other and do like a 1-2 or anything. And then we have our wingbacks, but they need to play defense too. They have defensive duties. So Kane and Son are just too isolated up there, so they have to backpass. There's nothing else they can do, otherwise they lose it. United counterattack, and we risk conceding a goal.
Yeah. And then let's move on to our last player in the starting lineup, Harry Kane. I'm going to give Harry Kane a 5.
I'm going to give Harry Kane a 5.5 as well, same as Son.
I thought he was a little better than Son in my opinion. Just when he found the ball, he was able to do a little more with it, but really none of our attackers were good today.
Yeah. Kane did not find himself with the ball as much as Son. Again, same thing as Son, too isolated. But Kane, I feel like he was a little different than Son. Kane went in alone, but ended up just losing the ball, which I feel like is in some scenarios worse than attacking because you're giving up possession. You know you can counter. You don't know what can happen, and we could possibly concede a goal. Versus back passing, you're containing possession, which is I think what Kane should have done. But in some scenarios, I think Kane was right with his decision to go in alone.
Yeah, undoubtedly. But Harry Kane just not good enough today. Again, didn't get the ball enough. Really well closed down by the defenders of Manchester United. But I think a lot of the blame today has to also be placed on Conte. First, for obviously the 3-5-2 formation. Okay, that's fine. You picked a formation that, maybe we thought was good. We have no other option.
Now we know it's not good.
Yeah.
But the part that was really concerning was that we did not bring a sub on until the 82nd minute.
Yeah, that was the worst part. When we're 1-0 down and we're playing like that, the first thought, I think, in Conte's head, I'm not a professional manager, of course, so I don't know what goes through his head. I don't know what preparations are taken. But for me, I think the first thought would have been, open up a little bit in midfield, because that's where we seem to be most congested. And we looked so much better when we reverted to a 3-4-3, and I don't know, it just felt like once we went to 2-0, we just started throwing the game away, almost.
And then as soon as 80 minutes came, Lucas Moura came on, Sessegnon came on, we started doing what we normally do. Getting on the ball in midfield, getting it to our forwards.
We had a chance to turn the game around, we just did not allow ourselves to do it because we made no changes after we conceded the goal. And that was probably the biggest problem today. And that was the biggest problem with Conte that we had, I think.
We should have made some changes at halftime. We probably should have.
I think halftime was a little early because our first half was not bad at all.
At least by the 60 minutes. At least by the time. When it was like 42 minutes after halftime.
Yeah, so 47, that's understandable. Keep. Maybe it's just a blip, Keep
those
players on. But the problem was when we got to the 69th minute, Bruno scores, and then it takes another 12 minutes for us to change. 12 minutes that we could have gotten a goal in and then started a comeback. But instead, almost it's like we threw it away by not changing earlier.
I think after 60 minutes, you could see we were so congested in midfield, couldn't get on the ball in midfield, kept back passing. And I think that was time, even one substitution, Bissouma off for Lucas. That could have helped so much.
Yeah. Because that is kind of the only substitution that we could have made. Considering that we had no Kulu, no Richarlison. So for a forward, the only person we could have had other than Lucas is Heel. But I don't think we wanted Heel on. But that is it for our player ratings for Tottenham versus Manchester United. If you enjoyed, make sure you smash the subscribe button. Hit the like button if you enjoy our content. Comment down below what your thoughts on this dismal Spurs performance was. And until next time,
come on, you Spurs!